Alright, well, I don't know if it's gonna do this. Are you guys seeing this in landscape? Or is it in portrait? Are you guys seeing this in landscape or portrait? Help a brother out. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm setting you up right over. You'll see this other camera's right here, and you'll be here, so you're going to be seeing this in real time. And like I said, I'm going to try to explain the process. First thing that I do is I take a previous drawing that I did, and I calibrate my other camera to make sure that it's getting all the levels and that the focus is right. I got to do that for you guys too. Hello. Alright, let's see. It's kind of blurry, but hopefully that'll do the trick. Alright, here we go. So I've got that going. I got my settings going. We got our Rakim going. I hit capture on my thing. I pick a pen. Lately I've been getting into these microns. It's a Pigma micron, because they give a nice line and it's sort of predictable as far as what's going to happen. Next thing I do is I try to think of something fun to draw. Sometimes it's spontaneous, sometimes it's something I've thought about during the day. Sometimes it's jazz, sometimes it just happens. And right now I'm seeing different images, like I see a koala bear, I see some other things. So I'm going to use my best memory of a koala bear. I'm going to give him maybe a soldier hat. So this is where I'm going to talk less and draw more. While I'm doing this, I'm thinking about touchstones of what make a koala bear a koala bear. And they got them fat cheeks from what I remember. So I rely on things like shape and texture. So I know I want this sort of oval shape. I know his feet are going to be down here. I kind of already see it in my mind. But now I start to rely upon things like textures and shape. Let me turn this down a little. Oh, that sounds good. Alright, so again, like I'm thinking of him, top of his helmet here, his arms are here, his feet are here. I might give him a gun. I could see a gun in his hand. So now I try to think about all the times I've seen really cool helmets, whether in film or in comics or illustration, and I think of guys like Joe Kubert, I think of guys like Michael Golden, think about guys like Norman Rockwell, and I think, oh, what did they do, you know? Remember Michael Golden used to draw these cool things inside of the soldier's headband, like cigarettes or, I don't know, chew tobacco, something. So I try to think of the shape of that thing, how it would fit in the volume of that hat, and go along with the headband, like that. And then I think of the texture of it. A lot of times I think of guys that do great textures, like my man Art Adams. That guy does really fantastic textures. You can go back in time and go to early guys that had good textures, like Arthur Rackham or other guys like that. But anyway, I'm trying to think in my visual vocabulary of ways to translate the thing I see in my head. I'm going to mush his ear down here so it looks sort of sad. Fill that in. Same here on this side as far as his ear getting mashed down. On this, I'm trying to give that a bit of contour. So this is a Mobius trick or a Michael Golden trick or a Art Adams, Terry Austin trick. You put some edges going along with the contours of things to give it sort of an indication of shape. One of the things that my buddy Michael Turner taught me was to sort of think of things as made out of rope and think of the contour they make that way. And he did tertiary lighting and things like that to do that. But right now I'm just, like I said, relying on old-fashioned texture. So we got this thing's helmet. I remember them having big sort of Muppet-like noses, right? So then I I want there to be sort of a shine right here, so I'm gonna do my lines to portray that sort of shine of light, indicating that sort of curve there. Go like this, darken that edge to give it a little more volume. Do we want to make him mean? Do we want to make him cute? I don't know. And if I am not replying to any questions right now, I apologize. I'm looking at the sheet of paper and not the phone. But thank you for joining me. Sorry if my voice is drony. It's when I'm doing this stuff, it ends up being a lot of abstract thoughts and not too much of verbal thoughts. So it's not going to be my talking skills are not going to be that great. I apologize about that. So give him a mean brow. Okay, so we're gonna throw him some brow action like he's tough, and give him some indication of roundness of his cheeks. This is probably gonna throw a little bit of a cast shadow underneath there. So let's go with the thing of his fur. Let's give him steely black eyes, just like they were made out of obsidian. We want to give him a cigar. Why not? Why not? Think of all the times I had to draw cigars. I can give you guys a funny anecdote. Back in 2001, 2002, when I was drawing Wolverine, they decided that he wasn't going to smoke anymore. And it just happened to be on the issue that I had been drawing. My pencils had already been turned in, and I had drawn his signature cigar in a lot of frames. But once that decision was made, the art was already turned into New York, and it had been inked, and the bullpen had to remove any references of smoking. So you're going to see a lot of gestures of Wolverine standing around looking like he's holding nothing, when in actuality I had drawn the cigar in, but policy had changed, so you got this sort of weird poses on Wolverine. So there you go, random piece of trivia for you. Give him a little bit of a under chin action. Again, the fur is going to go along with the contour of his face. Alright, so there we go on his face and head area region. Thank you for the 10 of you joining right now. It's pretty cool of you to do. So I don't know, am I going to go like traditional soldier style, or am I going to go futuristic and imaginary? Am I going to give him cyborg arms? You know, like I said, I had his proportions. They're kind of Ewok-like, and I have his pose in my mind. But as far as the details of things, that's where I can sort of play. So I'm thinking maybe I'll go futuristic, give him maybe a robot arm. So think of the geometry of things again. If there was a vanishing point, it'd be coming off over here. We're about at his, a little over his eye level, so we're going to be seeing the tops of his feet and whatever. Again, I've talked about visualization exercises before, and how I'm able to see these things before I'm doing them. So check out my YouTube channel. It's Hiroteka. I explain a lot of this stuff, and hopefully on Periscope I'll be doing more once I get used to this talking and drawing stuff. Okay, so I'm going to give him a robot arm, cyborg arm. So right now I'm just thinking about shapes and staying within the geometry of the perspective that I see in my mind. Oops, sorry I bumped you. Alright, so there's thinking of these things as sort of tin cans radiating out of a round shape. So that's how these things are being imagined. I see the shape here. And this gives a nice sense of 3D because you're seeing these shapes sort of foreshorten and things like that. Again, you know, having a good visual vocabulary is key, and that comes from a lot of drawing and also a lot of observation. Guys like Kim Jong-gi, who is you know, phenomenal, outstanding, and inspiration to anybody that's ever seen his work. He's very special in that he's a very keen observer. He remembers things he's seen, and the guy was in the Korean Special Forces. Okay, that'll just tell you the kind of mental processing he's got. He can walk into a room and, you know, check it out. Someone like me who's, you know, average Joe, father of 3, I try to be a little more mindful of things, not on a special forces level, but try to see how things are working. So when it comes to drawing things out of my imagination, I think, oh, you know, if this was here, it would have a gasket on it and probably a screw top. So I start paying attention to industrial design, and I think, okay, this has got a bend, so maybe this part here will be made out of cloth. How is that cloth rendered? And again, I think about artists I dig, guys like Travis and stuff he did on Space Girl, and I remember some of his rendering in cloth and how I enjoyed it. So I do sort of an interpretation of that because that's what I'm seeing in my head. You know, obviously that we like the ideals we like. Okay, so this cloth part covers a skeletal frame of the bicep area, so I'm going to put that there, curve that in, curve that in. There's going to be one on the back side too, but let's draw the guts of this fake bicep area. I start thinking about motorcycle engines and shapes like that because these are things I've been around, right? So I think about, oh, okay, here's the gaskets and where the heads are on it, and, you know, where the oil change thing will be, and, you know, the kickstand. But right now it just looks like tech, but it looks functional because I'm basing it off of memories of stuff I have experience of, which is again why you want to observe the world. Every experience you can out there, you're going to observe different facets of life. Okay, so see, now I'm doing this overlapping, which gives you a sense of roundness, and now if I come back here with that other arm, now it looks like there's something going on back there, which gives the illusion of depth and whatnot. So that's what I was doing there, my thought process there. Alright, here's some extra textures. I think about the lighting. This would cast a shadow across that. Cast a shadow. Then now if I want to be consistent, I can have this cast a shadow. Same with that. Okay. So now I'm going to put some more tech. Think about directors I like Chris Cunningham, what he did in that Bjork video, and I do sort of an interpretation of that tech. Again, this is where I learned this is from interviews with a lot of my artist friends or artists that I admire. And I remember one interview with Todd McFarlane where he was talking about when he came up with his Spider-Man, and he was thinking about doing his Spider-Man like Ditko, but that he never actually opened up and looked at Ditko. He was thinking about sort of landmarks of what made Ditko Ditko. So the more of the darker values in the blue of the costume, more webbing, larger eyes, the underwebbing, and then of course taking the spaghetti webbing of Michael Golden and sort of popularizing it. But that idea there is sound, because as an artist, everything is your interpretation of experiences, right? So what makes you an artist is how you feel about something and how you represent it. So for me, I go Christopher Cunningham. That it seemed functional, it seemed high tech, it seemed sort of expensive. Then I think about guys like Lucas in Star Wars, those early movies, and how everything had a used look to it. So I think of this as like it was expensive once, but maybe, you know, his division, it's been 10 years since they've got upgrades, so he does his best to keep it up. So it's got an expensive look, but it looks used because it's been through a few tours. You know, it's stupid psychology like that fills my brain when I'm inventing like this. And I'm not downgrading it, saying it's stupid. I say it like that because it seems odd to some people at times. And these are the kind of things that get your ass kicked in high school for thinking weird like that. All right, so now I'm thinking about underneath the forms. I'm going to indicate them, but what would be functional? Would he have like a guard? You know, like not a shin guard, but you know, the underside of his elbow. How would that connect? And I think about it structurally. I think about how it works in perspective, the lighting that I already sort of established here, and then again keeping the big picture in mind. Again, I'm seeing this in my head. It's sort of vague. It's more of a shape, but as I go and I create, I'm just letting you know where my head is at on this. So I'm gonna get this elbow pad under there. I'm gonna indicate that this shadow is being thrown on it, because all of this tech here is casting that shadow. Okay, we want spikes on it, why not? So I think of it as far as how they would be distributed, so we wouldn't see the next row because they're already blocked like that. Alright, so then go, how would this be functional? He's got a wrist right here, it'd probably be on a ball. And again, I'm thinking function here, and thinking about all the successful examples I've seen of function. Guys like Michael Golden, Jack Kirby, Arthur Adams, Jim Steranko. I'm naming some classic dudes, but these guys, I mean, they're classics for a reason. So, again, they're thinking about functionality. I'm trying to imagine that this thing is actually operable, that it's working. It can't be bullshit, you know? Can't be a vacuum tube or whatever. And by the way, I'm recording my time lapse. After the time lapse, after I hit the stop on the time lapse, I'm going to do some fun shit for you guys. I'll give you a preview of the Black Flag #1 cover. You can see the original. And then I'll also solve a Rubik's Cube for you guys. Just because it's a no flex zone, but I'm going to flex. Alright, so here we go. So we got his arm. It's all established. Next thing I'm going to go for is a gun shape. I was from the school of Rob Liefeld, who did some fun guns. Some of them were absurd, but when I was a kid, when I was trying to emulate those guns, especially back in like Blood Strike era, I really got bored doing them because I wanted to draw the action and stuff. So a lot of my guns suffered. But now, when I started thinking about the whole functionality aspect of things and sort of design and shapes, I go, oh, you know what, these are opportunities to have some fun. So this one, he looks like the kind of guy that would have a triple barrel, working off the perspective here. So I'm going to do it in a triangle format like this, like that. And then I'm going to throw that there, and throw that there. I'm going to say that to me looks about where it's going to go. So this is, again, approximation. I'm seeing the shape of this gun. And I'm thinking of some of the geometry of this stuff. It's not going to be perfect, but at the start point, something's got to prevent the heat of those barrels from being touched. So I think about a guard to put on it, give it some shape. I've heard people say, your style reminds me of Mobius, and I say, I'll take it. That dude came up with some rendering techniques that are some really fun go-tos. A lot of my favorite artists are fans of this, so I say, hell yeah. I'm not doing my best Mobius. I'm using the same tools that dude had and playing with them, you know. So I'll take that compliment. Heck yeah. All right, so there's that shape. Let's give it a big sort of traditional barrel, like it actually holds bullets. So it's revolving off of this point here. Boom. There's the barrel. It's going to flip out, so it needs that. There's this. Sorry, I got silent and started thinking about how this thing's going to work. So we got this fuel cell. It's going to be the back part of the gun. working with the perspective of it. Add some extras. There we go. All right. Got lost there for a second. All right. So I think again about functionality. Maybe there's a safety on it. Maybe a catch release sort of thing. Maybe some accents. And then this thing is actually more powerful than it looks, so it needs a little bit of a shoulder absorption thing, whatever it's called, shock absorber. There you go. Told you words aren't working. Words bad, fire bad. Alright, here we go. Alright, add some more shading. Again, light source. Alright. This composition area here is bothering me, so I want to give him a bit of a backpack, which is going to require a strap, which is going to go up and underneath this stuff. Like that. Maybe he's got some telecommunication stuff, so we'll make it sort of boxier, like it's functional in a simplified way. I hope you guys are having a good time. Apologize for not talking more, but again, this is first time doing this, talking and rocking. So thank you for being here. All right, let's put this hand is got a half glove on, but he's got some claws. Board up. Alright. Leather glove. Thinking about the geometry of the hand underneath there. This is one of my favorite rap songs of all time, guys. I'm going to take a sip of some bourbon. A little sip. Thank you again for being here. I got to give credit where credit's due. My man Carl Alstetter and my man Eric Canetti were the first guys I saw do this Periscope thing. You know, back in the day I wanted to do Ustream, but like the bandwidth was weird, and I was like, I don't even know how to do this. But those guys, I watched both of those guys today, and it was quite awesome. So I thought, you know, I think I'm gonna give that thing a try. All right, let's give him a bit of a neck thing here. But anyway, Carl, Eric, if you guys ever see this, I don't know if you're gonna catch this, but you guys are appreciated, and thank you for the inspiration to do this Periscope thing. So if you guys get a chance, throw those guys some dap, some love. Those guys are full-on comic book badasses and inspirations. All right. Normal shoulder. So I'm gonna think of like a military jacket, how that would be. Elbow. Underside. Boom, boom, boom. Peace, 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 peace. Alright, so that his chest area would be right about here. Abdomen area, which I'm going to protect with armor too. And I'm going to do an outline of his feet because I already see what I'm going to do with it. Went off the page a little bit. People ask about, how do you do that with just a silhouette? Again, it's because I see a lot of the shapes and the image of what this thing is before I draw it. A lot of the details, a lot of the other things are coming along as I do them, which is the jazz. But the actual structure and the shape of the thing, I'm seeing pretty clear, and that comes from some exercises that I've gone through. You know, I see guys like Kim Jong-gi and wonder how they did it, and then I think about my mind and how my mind works, and I try to figure out how the heck can I do it too. And then I broke down sort of the process I went through, and I broke it down on my YouTube channel. This isn't a plug for my YouTube channel. I can tell you right now, it's a combination of 3 books. One is called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. It's by author Betty Edwards. She was a teacher at Long Beach, if I remember correctly. This is a book my grandfather taught from when he was teaching adult school. And I learned it right around when I was 12 or 13, but I revisited it later down the path in life. And the main thing you get from that is that anybody can draw, and if you can see it and perceive it, then you know, you need to train your hand and your eye to get along, and have your hand do what your eye sees. It's not what you think you see, but what you actually see, and it's about, you know, turning things on conventions on their ass. You know, the left side of the brain is all about organization and trying to bring order into this life and make sense of things, and the right side is about emotion and shape. And anyway, that's what that book's about. It's about seeing. Another book that's really great is How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, and that teaches about construction and creating things out of your imagination. But the third and most important book I ever read wasn't an art book. In fact, it was a book about accelerated learning. I was really interested in accelerated learning about 10 years ago, and trying to figure out how to learn things and quicker and better and be faster and, you know, work smarter, not harder, those sort of things. And I ran across this book by a guy named Dr. Win Wenger, and it's called The Einstein Factor. And he had a bunch of exercises in there about improving your brain and improving your skills in that way. And not necessarily doing puzzles, but just, you know, kind of hacking your brain into working areas that it's not necessarily conditioned to through today's society's education process. So anyhow, there's this thing called image streaming, and in it, he has you get to a point of state of being, sort of relaxed, almost like meditation or hypnosis, but you kind of relax and you chill out, and then you start a recording device. You can use an iPhone. Back in the day, I used a tape recorder. But you describe what you see in your mind's eye like a daydream, but you describe it in present tense. And you describe it in as many senses as possible, right? So it feels like, sounds like, smells like, tastes like. You know, that you're basically breaking your vision in your mind down. I'm going to rewind a second and say why I arrived at this conclusion of why this works. One of the most frustrating parts for me as an artist is that the thing I see in my head, it's fleeting. It shows up, I go, oh my God, that's it, and then it's gone. And then I didn't know what to do. You know, the best I can do is what I thought it was, and my technical skills suck, so I ended up relying on foolery, garbage, you know. But what I found with this image streaming thing is you're sitting there and you're describing what you see in your mind's eye visually in multiple senses, and then once you're done recording it, you take a beat, you know, take 15 minutes off. But once you're done recording it, you play it back to yourself and you transcribe it by hand what you said. Okay. Sounds like a lot of work, but it's completely worth it. Now, you can say, what the fuck are you talking about, Frigaboon? and I'll say, listen, this is why this is awesome. Is it's conditioning your brain to visualize, and you're expressing it with your vocality. Then you're listening to it and hearing it back, making your brain re-experience it, and then you're writing it down, reinforcing it. Now what that does is it starts to tell your imagination, seeing pictures in your mind's eye is a good idea. So it says, okay, I'm going to do this. It's almost like starting to do push-ups, right? The more you do, the more you can do over time. So you keep repeating this, and next thing you know, the stuff you start seeing in your head, you can hold in your mind clearer. Then you resort back to the Betty Edwards training of drawing what you see, and you draw what you see. And any other things, like how to draw comics the Marvel way, and all those comic books that we love to check out, we rely on those as backup. As far as, oh, I can throw this texture on this, and I can do that. Because you're free as a bird, you're drawing what you see in your mind. Okay? So that's the secret. That's what I'm telling you right now. I'm finishing up this bad boy. Sign it. Today is the 24th. It's 2015 if my time machine is correct. Okay, now what you see I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how I do the time-lapse thing. So I've been lapsing now for 30 minutes. So I hit stop on that. It says capture is running, so I hit the wrong button. I do that often. I press stop. Now, I'm going to show you guys how this app works. You're going to have a moment of blackness, so hold on a second. Alright, so let's adjust this. So then what I do here is, now that this is done, I go into portrait mode, and I go into settings. So right now we recorded that for 30 minutes 25 seconds. I click on render, I slide this slider, I say I want it to be 15 seconds because of Instagram's cutoff of 15 seconds. And what that does is it adjusts my frame rate, output frame rate, to be at 15 seconds. Okay? Now I'm going to stop the music on this iPad because it distracts me from my musical choice. I'm very selective about what I decide to put on this. So I go here, go here. Since we did a koala, let's do minute work, right? Because that's ironic. Alright, so here's minute work. We've got Land Down Under, Overkill, and It's a Miracle. Right? What do you guys say? Down Under or Who Can It Be Now? Because I can read the text now. You guys give me some opinions. Down Under or Who Can It Be? Because I love Who Can It Be. That was my jam on my 10th birthday. So I'm just going to do that one. Alright, so, yeah. Alright, here we go. Gotta turn this up. Hold on. So what this allows you to do with this slider here is select what slice of music you're going to use. I say you cannot go wrong with that first 15 seconds. Last thing I do is add special effects. I always use the same one in this program. It's called Splendor, and the reason I do is it darkens the value of the lines while keeping the integrity of the paper, so it doesn't blow it out. So then I hit render, and you'll see it's rendering out the 911 frames. It was shooting every 2 seconds. It would shoot a frame, and then after we adjust, it kicks out the output of so many frames per second, and this time it's going to accommodate 15 seconds. So I think it was at like 50 frames per second. Here's some of the daily sketches from a couple of days ago, so you can kind of see. Look at that. My loving wife gave me my birthday card last week. So the thing about this Lapsid app is you don't want it to go out of any other app while it's rendering, otherwise it has to start over again. Another thing you might want to do if you guys want to do lapse it, go into airplane mode. Because I'll tell you, nothing is more destructive to capturing stuff because of the focus the focal aperture in here than getting a text or an email or your phone ringing. It makes it buzz and it takes it out of focus, and then your whole capture is fucked and you have to start over again. So I don't think you guys are into doing things over that you don't have to. I'm going to guess, perhaps. So this is still rendering. I'm going to